You are a horrible person.
No, I'm not.
You will not achieve anything in your life.
That's not true. I've achieved things in my life and I will continue to achieve things in my life. Now, this is my husband, but
I wouldn't really say that, but
and this is sometimes like what can be happening with your inner voice. If your inner voice is cruel, and we all experience this, because sometimes, even though we may be confident, our inner voice can creep up and say things that we wouldn't even want any of our friends or family to say to us, but we say it to ourselves. For example, if you are trying to learn a new skill and your inner voice says to you, oh, don't even bother learning this skill because you know you're just going to fail. So that inner voice can often seem very loud as well and can stop you from doing the things that you actually want to do in life.
so the first step is to recognize your inner voice. Sometimes it's very easy to just dismiss it and go along with the flow. For example, if you're trying to keep fit, but you're not progressing as fast as you want to, and your inner voice is saying, go and get that Big Mac. And sometimes you could just be eating it before you've even taken stock and realized what I am doing. So recognizing that thought, that inner voice, it's not always going to be positive, which is strange because we want to live a happy life.
Yes, and also challenge your negative thoughts. So if you are going for a job interview and your inner voice says to you, oh, I know that you're not going to get this job. I know that you are really terrible at job interviews. Say to yourself, no, I'm going to prepare and do my very best. And I am great at job interviews because I have been hired before. So what my inner voice is telling me is actually a contradiction. So challenge your negative thoughts. Challenge when your inner voice is criticizing you and being cruel to you. Because remember that no one should be cruel to you or criticize you in those ways, especially yourself. You don't deserve to be criticized in that way and to negatively talk about yourself. You deserve to feel good about yourself.
And the third step I would say is to practice self-compassion. So we can be very compassionate for others, especially when it's obvious. If someone has an illness, it's very easy to be compassionate. But it can be very difficult to be compassionate for ourselves. If you are struggling in life, maybe with mental health, for example, it's very easy to be hard on yourself. So being compassionate and caring towards yourself is so important because it's your life, it's your existence. And it's nice to live a life where most of the time you feel good. And if you're already suffering and struggling with issues already, and then on top of that, being cruel to yourself, it just compounds things. And it's almost like quicksand that you're sinking further and further down and you're unable to get out. But self-compassion is a tool to help you to live a life where you have a good quality of life. That may mean seeking out professional help, reading more books, seeing how can I improve my mood. If you're unable to change the situation, for example, look at things that you can do to improve the situation. Maybe it's things that you are neglecting, for example, having connections with other people. It can be very easy to think, oh, I don't need connections with other people. But once you have that, you understand the importance of having a social network. And you may have to have self-compassion and be kind to yourself in order to push yourself outside of your comfort zone to try and build this network.
I would say that if you are having connections with people, make sure that it is with people who are positive, who also practice positive self talk. You don't want to necessarily be with other people who are very critical of themselves, because then you will find it easier to be critical of yourself as well. And don't you think that self care is also very important and helps with self compassion?
Yeah, definitely. If you're caring for yourself, even when you're feeling tired or you don't want to do something, it reinforces the fact in your head. For example, going to the gym. You may not want to do any exercise, but when you keep showing up, even if you're going through the motions, and you start to see progress, and then you look in the mirror and you think, okay, wow, the hard work that I'm doing is paying off, and I'm caring for my body. So that's a visual thing that can help. It's more difficult when it's internal and you don't have that achievement. So sometimes it's easier to check physically that you're doing well and making improvements, but it's more difficult internally. And just having some compassion for yourself and understanding that things take time can be easier to achieve your goals.
Yes, so self care, self compassion is huge when it comes to helping decrease the amount of times that you actually have negative self talk. And another way to stop or reduce the amount of negative self talk is to reframe your thoughts. For example, just say you're going on a date and you've been wanting to go on this date for a really, really long time, but you feel like the date is going to be horrible and you feel like the person will just think you're absolutely boring. And then reframe it. Say to yourself, I'm really excited about this date and I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to get to know this wonderful person and they are going to get to know me, and it's going to be a wonderful experience. Maybe too many wonderful words, but you get the gist, right? You're reframing it into something positive, something exciting. And it takes time to reframe your thoughts. It does. It doesn't happen overnight. Positive thinking, I will always say, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Like with any journey in life, it comes with practice. But you often have to catch yourself when you're having those negative thoughts, when that inner voice is so critical. You have to really catch it and really see, is there any truth in what my inner voice is actually saying to me?
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes that inner voice, it may not stop you from achieving your goals. From the outside, you may be very successful and achieving the things that you want to. But when you are by yourself, do you have those negative thoughts that are undermining the hard work that you're doing, how you really want to feel about yourself? That you can give yourself permission to think, I'm a wonderful person, I love myself, I'm doing really well, rather than attacking yourself and thinking, I've got to do more, I've got to do more. Because on the outside, you may seem to be very successful, but inside, you still may be struggling, which eventually will affect the quality of your life.
Yes, and I mean, especially when you're learning new skills, like for example, just say you're learning how to speak French, and your inner voice could be telling you, why are you even bothering to learn a new language? You're too old to learn a new language, or you know that you aren't good at languages. So the inner voice, it can really, really traumatize you actually, because you may have so many dreams and you may not even start to actualize those dreams because you believe the inner voice. The inner voice can be so powerful that you believe that voice, irrespective of how many achievements you actually have. That inner voice can be so all consuming. So it can really debilitate a person. What do you think has helped you in your life to stop your inner voice from being cruel?
I think, in a way, being compassionate towards the inner voice and understanding that sometimes that inner voice, it's being cruel, but in that case of trying to learn something new, it could be trying to protect you. So it's trying to stop you from experiencing pain and struggle. When you're learning something new, you'll go through these challenges. So it's trying to keep you in a comfort zone. But sometimes you have to say, I'm going to ignore that inner voice and keep going through the difficulties and the struggles, because I know that I am growing along the way, and eventually I will improve in whatever I'm doing. So understanding why you are doing something can help you to get through those difficult times. So having that negative inner voice, when it gets too much, I think for me personally, I think exercise is just a tenet of my life where it's a cornerstone. So when I'm exercising, I feel good about myself, and then I naturally make healthier decisions.
Yes, and obviously with exercise, it creates wonderful endorphins. So you do feel good about yourself. And when you feel good about yourself, then you speak positively to yourself, about yourself. And I really think that, this should be taught at schools, like positive self-talk, how to deal with your inner voice when it's been cruel to you, because it isn't taught really.
Yeah, I think affirmations are taught. I think things about mental health, there's more awareness about that. But and also bullying as well. There's more awareness about bullying. But I think having practical steps like a gratitude journal, practicing this, building up your self-esteem, understanding that it's sometimes even more important than academic success. I think it's such an important skill.
Yes. So thank you for watching. You may like this video about positive self-talk. Do let us know, what are your thoughts? How do you cope when your inner voice is being cruel? And please like, share, and subscribe. It is a new channel and we appreciate your support. Have a wonderful, yes, wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.